Our boys are angry. Never in history have we been so afraid of our own children. Grown men, we are afraid to walk through crowds of preteen and young teenage boys in the city streets. Young men have become so angry that grown-up men are intimidated by them. Grandmothers are being killed by raging grandchildren who tie them up in basements and set them on fire. The news media report increasingly gruesome teen atrocities that sound like gothic horror fiction or novels or nightmares from hell. But hey, they are happening. We sit in our easy chairs and watch through television as 13-year-old boys stand trial before a judge and jury and receive a life sentence without shedding a single tear. We are preoccupied with our own pain. We have created monsters in our children. This plague transcends racial and social boundaries. From the well-to-do Cape Town boys to boys in the wood, in the urban ghetto, the spirit of anger transcends culture. We have become angry, frustrated men, and we have spawned a generation that is angrier than we are. We have been given too much responsibility too fast. We have seen just too much for our eyes. We have heard just too much for our ears. We have watched the gropings of twisted flesh on prime television and have listened to the squeaking noises coming from our parents' rooms every single night. We have challenged childish minds with manly issues. The mind of a child should not be stressed with these harsh realities like molestation, abuse, or domestic violence. This trend produces a mental hernia that is visible in the character of the youngster for the rest of his life. Many young men have followed their father's footsteps into promiscuity, thinking it to be a natural way to define masculinity by extreme sexuality. Isn't that what daddy did? I hear them say. Like so many other excesses and escapes, it is just a drug taken too often for a pain that will not go away. It only masks the symptoms without healing the source of the pain. Nearly every problem in our society now becomes more inflamed by the raw anger burning out of control within our young men. Racism at this point is on a rampage because why? We men are angry. Violence is sweeping through our schools, our homes, and our primetime crime shows. Even the politically correct demands of the feminist movement have been swept aside by a new wave of raw, angry sexuality that openly exploits and degrades participants on both sides of the gender line. Whenever men are angry, we look for somebody to blame. Adam, he did set this pattern when he blamed Eve for making him disobey God's command in the Garden of Eden. You find this in Genesis chapter 3, verse 12. Whenever we are captured, feel trapped, we cast the blame on someone else. We have an entire generation that has become imprisoned in a pit of anger and frustration, and somebody has to take the blame. The people of this generation, we look at each other and say, "You are the reason why I'm in this position." White men say, I quote, "You blacks are taking all the jobs and forcing the rest of us out just because I'm white. I can't get a job with all this affirmative action business. I'm angry. We should do away with these stupid programs," end of quote. Meanwhile, on the other side, we black men, we keep around saying, and I quote, "You white people, you're the reason we can't find a decent job. It is white people's fault that we can't earn a living because we have been discriminated all along all these years," end of quote. And then you have we foreigners. We say here, neither of you is right. Here is the real reason why you're in trouble. And so the arguing, the blaming, and the childish finger pointing go on and go on. Everyone is angry. We will one another in our jailers, childhood exchanges of bitter words. Our whole culture has become angry because we have provoked our sons to wrath. How does a child forget the sin that replays in his mind every day and every single night. The picture of his mother angrily wiping her tears away as his father mutters and throws his glass through the television screen. The boy asks himself, did I make my daddy angry this afternoon? Was his mother upset because he couldn't please dad enough to calm him down? Surely there has to be something I could have done that made daddy become angry. Our boys are confused, and there will never be peace. Our boys are not going to be called into order until we become men, because you can't have a country of grown-up men until we start growing up the boys.